Welcome back to the Let's Get Wicked podcast, where we talk all about the tabletop game Disney Villainous. I'm your host, Joker Jonesy here, and I'm joined by my fellow friends, Headmaster Ditto. Say hello.
Howdy.
We have Robo Sensei,
Hello.
and then we have Wero the Great. Did I pronounce your name right? I'm always scared. Oh God, I'm always concerned to pronounce your name wrong. Because I'm like, we are the great is how I always thought it was, but when we actually started doing the show, I learned it's like Wero the
There's
Great.
an O in there.
Yeah, there's an
Zero.
O. I mean, it sounds like you are the greatest. So, I mean,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, you could
You
take
homie.
that however you want.
I always figured it was gonna be like Vero, like doing a little bit of German pronunciation there.
Oh, yes, I am the great. Oh.
Oh my. Well, today's show, we're probably gonna hate each other by the end of the show. So today
It's
we
like
have
a politics
officially
debate.
put together our tier list for Disney Villainous. So this is before Perfectly Wretched comes out, for those of you who don't know when we're doing this. And we're ranking the characters in all of the game, from all the expansions, base game, etc., in our own tier list. We've all came together with our own tier list.
Quick disclaimer for the people who are watching. This is mostly 2-player 1v1 stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the only thing I took in account.
Once you start stretching to 3 or 4-player games, it starts getting really
Every
muddy.
character
and
gets bad.
Don't try to play 5 or 6. Just don't do it.
No.
You get the
So in general, we all kind of agreed to do this as a 1v1.
Yeah.
So
Every character just starts to get worse as you add more players.
Yeah, it's very true. There are
And
some
Dr.
characters on this
Facilier,
tier
you
list,
probably
yeah, that would not work very well in 5 or 6. 5 or 6 is meant for like you're hanging out at a party, you got drinks, you got some
That's
food,
not a party.
and then you're
That
like,
sounds
we're
like a
treating
horrible
fading like a
party.
social event, you know? That's how we're treating
yeah,
it.
really.
Yeah.
But yeah, just wanted to clear that up right off the bat.
Well, thank you, Ditto. I
this is
appreciate that. I
specifically
completely forgot
1v1.
about that. So, I mean, you're being a better host than I am right now. So the way that we've also done this is that I actually, if you go to tiermaker.com, so there's actually an official Disney Villainous tier list that for those of you back at home that you want to make your own tier list, you just type in Disney Villainous tier list maker, whatever, you'll actually find the list that I put together or the template for it. And you can be able to find other people's lists as well if they made theirs. But that's what we're pulling this up on, and we have this divided into 5 classes. This is very much my fighting game, like roots right here, so I feel really giddy doing this.
Where's the F tier?
Yeah, so we have our S
Give
tier,
me a minute.
A, B, C, and D. I don't know how you guys kind of took the different like letter tiers, but the way I've kind of did it is my rule was at least one in a slot, no more than 3 in a slot. And between the different tiers, there's a pretty big like power gap, or not like huge. Like a C and a D tier can like maybe work well, like going up against each other. But like D to an S tier or an A tier is pretty like you gotta get stupid lucky.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, like very very hard. It's doable but hard. So that's how I did it. I don't know how you folks did it. If you guys want to elaborate.
Yeah, I definitely did not stick to
I don't
3
think
max.
the limit per tier is gonna be
Yeah.
a thing.
Oh.
But I mean, mine fall under that ruling, but I don't think that would be followed by everyone.
No,
Yeah.
that's
I
okay.
basically just stuck everybody in B tier to start and let them trickle out from
I guess.
except one character. There was one character I knew exactly where she's going.
Oh,
There's 2
huh,
characters.
I
You
wonder.
know exactly where she goes.
All right. Well,
This is
I guess we'll
best.
start with D, unless Wero, you got something to add.
Oh, are we just all going
we're
by
going bottom
what
top?
we have in
Yeah.
each tier?
Yes.
I thought we were gonna like go around what our list is, but either way.
Yeah.
I was gonna. Well, I guess we could go the whole tier, or we can go the whole list. So
'Cause I was like, I like kind of had like a little spiel of like why I put everything in
Yeah.
each tier.
okay. Let's do that. Let's go list. I will go ahead and start. So I'll start from bottom and go to top for mine. So
Alright.
in my D tier, I have 2 characters. The worst
Mhm.
being Ursula, followed by Scar. So,
Yep.
yeah. So
Yep.
I think we're all in pretty consistency about that. In my C tier, I have the worst being Hades, followed by Jafar. In my B
Whoa.
tier, I have Queen of Hearts, followed by
Whoa.
Yzma. In my A tier, I have Captain Hook, Ratigan, Doctor Facilier. And then in my S tier, I have Maleficent, Prince John, Evil Queen. That is my list.
Maleficent
Prince
S
John
tier.
up in S.
Yeah.
Maleficent S tier?
Yeah.
I definitely have disagreements with your ordering.
Oh
until
no.
like until the last 2 tiers, we were pretty much the same.
Really? Okay. That makes me feel somewhat okay about myself. Great. What do you feel like the most which one do you hate the most in terms of like
I
where I
don't
put something?
like Maleficent being an S tier.
You don't like her being S?
I
Yeah,
also
I don't like Prince John in S
I
tier
don't like
either.
Prince John being an S tier either.
No.
Yeah.
See, here's my thing with Maleficent and Prince John. So, I've played a lot of 1v1 against Prince John with all sorts of characters. My girlfriend actually plays a lot of Prince John. She's very good with him. And the thing that I've always struggled with against Prince John is that he is what I call the defense master of this game. Like, he can basically set his board state up to the point where even if you fate him, you can't do anything. Where if he's
You
got
have to get
allies out
really
there,
far ahead
he
if
can
you do that.
vanquish. He constantly goes towards his goal. The only real killer combo that I've seen that you can really stop him in his tracks is you get Robin Hood out there, and you get and somehow out of weird circumstance, you get Little John. You put the 4 power on Little John. You got Robin Hood. You might be covering something else up, and he just can't
And
make money
King
to help
Richard.
to get started. But other than that, I've just never seen him ever. There's been a few times, but it's been close. My reasoning for Maleficent is that I feel she also kind of plays a little bit of a defense game with the curses because, like, the whole thing is like, oh, this curse, you can only play heroes if they have a strength of 4 or more. Here, the heroes can't be played. And the thing, too, is you can move the curses around. So it's like you can move them from place to place. And you can very quickly just, like, put your opponent in a point where, like, oh, crap, I can't advance my goal. I need to go fate. So they fate. Sure, they get rid of a curse or they move the curse or whatever they do. But then you got another curse in your hand you can just instantly play. And boom.
You only have 6 of them though.
I thought it was 8.
No, there's only 6.
it
There's
only
2 of
6?
each of the 3.
No, there's 8.
There's 8?
What?
Curses?
Yeah.
There's 8 curses.
I
Yeah,
thought there
there's
was
2 of each
3
one.
of 2 and 2 dreamless sleeps.
Yeah. So that is
I
my
believe.
reasoning for those 2.
Oh.
So the way you say that, it kind of makes me feel like we're playing 2 different games. Because when I play Villainous, you should expect to fate like every other turn. You should not be like in your own little land playing solitaire. And like I brought this up before in
Yeah.
previous episodes, where you shouldn't just be playing solitaire and then, oh wait, they're about to win, I should fate them. Like, no, you should be fating consistently, proactively. There are 3 characters you can kind of ignore. You can kind of ignore Scar, Hades, and Maleficent. Everyone else, you've got to be fading them constantly. If you're fading Prince John constantly, he's not going to have his warrants out. There will be Robin Hood messing up his day. There is going to be steal from the rich on everything. There will be the clever disguises out. So Prince John, if he's faded often enough, is definitely not S tier.
Unless you're like me and you flip 2 clever disguise on the first fate and then you
Yeah.
just let him win.
That seems to be common.
Well, I think it's the thing is that so you're absolutely right with Prince John where he's got like those killer cards, but like you have to set the board state up to do that. And like, yeah, you're right. You have to be fading every other turn almost, but like even then it's
John also needs his own board state to be set up in order to be a consistent moneymaker. And you've got to like pull some special one-ofs to keep popping that off and stuff.
Yeah, you want to pull out Sheriff of Nottingham, you want to pull out Sir Hiss, you want to pull out
Golden Arrow.
your warrants, the Golden Arrow. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that'll get him power, but
If you
he's
don't
very
dig
vulnerable
those
as well.
if you don't dig them up early enough, then you kind of get it to a slow start because you'll be faded enough by then.
okay.
You kind of need you need good top decks, and you need for your villain deck, and you need bad top decks on your fate deck.
So you're saying he's just not consistent enough is what you're saying. I feel.
I think he's great, but I don't think he's S tier great.
Would you say you put him at A?
Yes.
Okay. I can agree with that. I can agree with an A. Any other final thoughts before we go to somebody else?
Nope.
No?
I don't think so.
I just want to talk about my thing.
Oh, go for it then. You can go next.
Okay. So I didn't do any Ds. So the way I did this is very clear categorizing. It seemed very clear to me who fit into what group.
Okay.
So in my S tier, these are the two villains who can insta-win. Like they can just, boom, I have one on my turn. And that's Dr. Facilier and Queen of Hearts. I remember when we first playing was just the base game, Queen of Hearts won a lot. Because she can just, here are my wickets, I play, take the shot, I win. Hooray! Because as long as you have at least one wicket of 3 strength, you were basically guaranteed to win. Like, I did the math on it, like the average card cost in your deck. You just need at least one 3 strength wicket, and you win. And
They need to make. I think they need to make the conditions worth like 2.
Or something like that.
yeah, I mean, definitely it doesn't help that conditions have no cost. There's Very Merry on Birthday. There's a whole bunch of 1 cost stuff.
How many unbirthdays are in the deck?
There's only 2.
So there's 6 cards in your deck that are worth 0.
There are 3 cards in your deck worth 4, but already one of them is not going to be in there because playing it.
Right.
Yeah. I usually like to pitch the other 2 before playing.
Yes, same. So I can kind of guarantee it myself. And then Dr. Facilier should be pretty obvious, especially with the cane. If you can get the cane out, you can win in 1 turn. Where you do need to play Rule New Orleans beforehand, and as long as no one pulls out
wait a second,
then you can just play the Talisman and the Cards Will Tell using the cane, and you win. Hooray!
Oh wait, do you have a play card on the space next to Voodoo Emporium on the bottom?
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you can.
Oh, yeah,
you can hold.
Hilarious.
You can hold it. You can hold Talisman and then play both cards.
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
You could also that way play 2 Cards Will Tell and have 2 goes at it.
Yep.
You can. And I've done that many times myself.
I've never even thought about that.
It's some crazy stuff you could do with the Doctor.
No, that cane is quintessential to winning.
Okay.
So yeah, Dr. Facilier and Queen of Hearts, those are the insta-win characters. Those are my S tier.
Okay.
My A tier are the kill a hero villain. So in order of goodness to badness, but relatively, they're all really good. Captain Hook, Evil Queen, Yzma, and Ratigan. Captain Hook is very strong. It is very hard for him to lose, especially because most people don't want to fate him because they don't want to pull out Peter Pan. But you need to fate him. But he's still very strong because like he just stacks up all his allies there. He shuffles down Peter Pan, and it's basically people like to say that Prince John is the ticking clock. I think Captain Hook is the ticking clock, and it's kind of flavorful because of the whole TikTok whatever.
Yeah.
But Evil Queen is very strong. I like to play her a lot. But she does suffer a little bit more fating than Captain Hook does, which is why I have her a little lower. I have had that experience myself. It's like, oh, dang, there are too many dwarves out and they keep pulling out Doc. But she is still very strong. Yzma, I need to play more of. I think she's the character I've played the least of, but she still is also very strong, especially if no one's paying attention. Because it's like, oh, boom, after them, there's Kronk, kill him. Like... There was a 5-player game I was playing where Yzma won because Yzma was on the other side of the table from me, and I couldn't quite see that a dagger was attached to Kronk.
Yeah, Ditto can attest to this. I was playing with Yzma the other day when we were doing like a 3-person game, and I literally won in 3 turns because I literally got Kronk. I did a whisper, or what was the card that allows you to look through all the cards? Eavesdrop. Eavesdrop the deck. I figured out where Cusco was. I had 2 superiorities within my draws, so when he tried to fate me, I just picked the wrong deck the whole time. And
then they could.
Yeah, the fact that you had the superiorities is what hurt.
They could play a kid from that though.
Well, that's the funny thing is from the place there was a kid.
Have the kid.
Yeah.
So he kept picking the one deck that didn't have it.
Nice.
Yep.
It was awful. That game was.
It was fast.
An embarrassment.
Yeah. It was funny enough. I beat Dr. Facilier in that match. Believe it or not. That was crazy.
And then my last one in A tier is Ratigan. Ratigan is also pretty strong, especially once he's flipped over. Defeating Basil is really easy.
Yeah,
you just need Felicia. The Robot Queen. The hard part is finding the Robot Queen and
Mhm.
getting the 15 power or all the gears and stuff. That's the
Yeah.
hard part. Once
The
she's
hard-
out, especially if you get the airship, which I try to do, and I mean, you've gone through most of your deck by the time you get the Robot Queen anyway, and have enough power to play her. But then there are a lot of ways to stall. There's the Mouse Queen, is the big one, and yeah, but he's still pretty strong.
Unless you're like me, where you defeat Mouse Queen, and then next time you get faded, your deck or your fate deck gets shuffled back in, and then they top deck Mouse Queen again.
That's so much. I hate
You're
that.
the one I was playing. I mentioned this in our
That's happened
first
to me-
episode of the
happened to me
podcast.
twice
I was like,
now.
who was I playing? That was so funny.
It's happened to me twice now.
That's happened to me twice
and
too.
I was playing Scar against that. I'm pretty sure that was so funny.
Yeah, rough.
Okay, so my B tier are a whole bunch of start of your turn villains. So in order best to worst, I've got Prince John, Jafar, Maleficent, and Ursula. So these are all, you gotta
All the
wait
way
until
up
their
there,
first
huh?
turn. But so Prince John I've got highest. He's basically the one in the middle. He is kind of the goalpost. He's average. If you leave him alone, he will just ticking time bomb. He gets his 20 power. But he also, like we were saying, he does have a whole bunch of defensive stuff. I don't have him in S tier because a lot of his fate cards are really bad. Like
Yeah, I might
Robin Hood
move
is
him
really
down
bad.
a nine.
King Richard's really bad. But he's still pretty good. He is right in the middle of my bell curve. Jafar is slow. He is very slow, but he can get to a point where no fate card can stop. Like once he gets to his win condition, he kind of can't lose.
That's assuming you've hypnotized Abu and Aladdin.
Which is not that hard to do anyway.
No,
and it's not that hard for him to get power, especially with necessary sacrifice. Then I have Maleficent, who I think is the best of the three collectathon sort of villains, where she needs a curse in every location. But I think of those three, her, Hades, and Scar, she has the least obtrusive fate deck. And since she has 8 curses, as opposed to Hades only has 5 titans, it's a little easier for her to get stuff out. She also has the Raven that lets her play around. She has Vanish. She has all sorts of wonderful tools to get around everything. She also never really hurts for power. But she is weak to fading, which is why she's not in my A or my S tier. Because there's a lot of cards in her fate deck that can discard her curses. King Stefan is a bitch.
Yeah, he could do some serious shit if you pull it off right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you also, so a few of these, you can kind of just leave your heroes out and just kind of ignore them. Like Evil Queen especially does not give a shit if there are dwarves around. Like you care if Bashful is there, you care if Doc is there, you care if Dopey is there. Other than that, do not give a shit that there are dwarves. Snow White requires 1 more poison, who cares?
Yeah.
Maleficent, you can't do that because of Once Upon a Dream.
Yeah.
Where if there's a hero there, we're going to discard that curse. Hooray, goodbye. So she needs to keep her heroes clear, which is a little hard to do sometimes.
Okay.
And then at the end of my B tier, I do have Ursula. Ursula is not my C or D. One, because she has that degenerate always fate strategy. But also she, like Jafar, can get to a point where if she's at her win condition in the right way, nothing can stop her. If she has the crown and the trident in her lair and her lair is locked, nothing can stop her. Or if she has the trident and the crown in her lair and Ariel is already out, nothing can stop her. So yeah, she is slow. Ariel can really fuck her up, but she also gets to an unstoppable point where if she gets to the right spot, she can't lose.
Right, but getting there is super hard.
Right, and that's why I have her at the bottom of my B tier.
So what's
But I do think she is stronger than my final 2, which you can probably guess already. My C tier is Hades and then Scar. I don't have a D tier. Any of these villains can win, even Scar. I make a point of winning with Scar. But Hades and Scar have really bad fate decks. Hades has like 8 cards that will fuck up his win condition if he only has 3 titans. I think it drops to only 4 if he has 4 titans. And then Scar, like Hakuna Matata can. I would say that Scar is not so much weak so much as challenging. You really need to know what you're doing. You really need to plan
Scar's
ahead. You really
Scar's
need to hold on
good,
to
but
justice.
Hakuna Matata sucks.
Yeah,
They
that's the
do.
biggest issue.
And that's why he is at the bottom, unfortunately. Hades is a little less fucked. Um, Hades Get Ready to Rumbles are really good, but he also like you need to plan around that, and it's also
Chariot's good.
yes,
Yeah, Jared's
as long as it doesn't get gospel truthed away. But Hades and Scar and also Maleficent, it's really obvious when they're nearing their win condition. And they are also the three villains that don't really need to be proactively fated. You can reactively fate them because it's really obvious when they're getting close. Everyone else, you should be fading them constantly because they can surprise you with a win. Those three, who cares?
Hmm.
Anyway, that's my list.
That's really interesting thought process that you have right there. I actually like
Totally.
it's very like not everything I agree with. I think Ursula, regardless of what you say, I think it really struggles. But I do agree with like you locked a strategy, so like you put yourself in an impossible like lose situation. I literally did that the other day, with Ursula, where you literally play it. You have the cards there, you lock it, done. Um, Man, that's an interesting take. I'm like trying to absorb everything. I completely understand your thing with Maleficent and Prince John. I would honestly say like Prince John is like the super balanced character, where like he's like the Ryu or the Ken of this game, where he's kind of got everything, but like he's also got some like things against him. I think the biggest thing with me with the Fate deck with Prince John is the fact that it just requires setup. But if, like you said, if you're proactively fading, that's usually not an issue.
Right, you should be doing that setup.
Yeah.
And also, it's interesting because there was a video Ravensburger released about the design process for the game, and they were saying how Jafar was the first one they like finished, and so they tried to get everyone else to play at the same speed as Jafar. And I kind of have Jafar like not exactly in the middle, a little lower, but pretty close to the middle.
Yeah. Because like Jafar technically has like all the different things that all the characters have. Defeat a hero, play a card out to unlock something or like get something out there, and then move a card, have it in like a control of some shape or form. Done. He doesn't have like a count, but you can almost count it like having the card out, and you need to have one lamp at the palace. I don't know, something like that. Interesting. I gotta absorb this one a little bit. I do agree with a lot of what you said though. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think the organization was interesting. I liked how you grouped by like how their objectives work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mine kind of ended up like that a little bit, just vertically instead of horizontally, you know. There.
I got you.
But yeah, most of it makes sense.
I did make a separation to D tier though, but
We'll get there.
yeah,
Well,
depending on how much more input I listen to, I might have to end up changing some of my placements at the end here.
Well, Robo, why don't you go ahead and start us off with your list? Start us off.
Sure. So I'll go from the bottom, and I'll start with the big meme that is Ursula is at the very bottom of D tier.
Okay.
Fate is yeah, you can fate really hard every turn, but also I think you by doing that you're slowing down your opponent, but you're not necessarily doing anything for yourself. And then above Ursula in D tier, I put Scar for the reasons we've talked about earlier. I think he has a good deck. He has a good everything except for Hakuna Matata, Rafiki, and Rafiki's stick.
I hate Hakuna Matata
And those
so much.
just basically kill you when they're played.
Yeah.
Most
rough.
of the time. And then I have two characters in C tier. At the bottom of C, I have Jafar, because he's kind of like Ursula. He needs a lot of power, I think, in order to hypnotize Genie first off, and also you want to get Abu and Aladdin because they prevent you from losing pretty much. But also he just kind of starves for power in the early game, I feel like, especially if you like go second and you get faded and you get one of your 2 available spots that you can move to since you have a started lock location. And if you get your more powerful of the 2 first off locations that you can move to covered up, then your first couple turns are just gonna kind of suck. So after Jafar's still in C, I put Hades. I think he is a little easier to work out than Jafar. Because you have Get Ready to Rumble, you can move your guys further. If you get Arges out soon, then you can just start getting power every time you move him. And then if you have Chariot and you work it out properly, you can end up with a lot of power. And so untrapping your Titans is cheap and easy, but it's just the fact that they get trapped that makes it hard. Like,
Yeah,
let's
because
take a look at
my
his
thing with
fate.
Hades is like, so like when you're talking about between Jafar and Hades, I think most of us can probably.
I don't think they're really similar in terms of comparing the 2 of them. I just compared them
in terms
because
of
that
like their
was 2 were
speed. That's what
back
I'm
to
trying to
back.
talk about here. It's like
Yeah.
Hades seems like he's a little faster, but his fate deck's stronger against him. So like you're basically trying to work it out so that way you put yourself in a position where the fate deck can't really screw you over. Because like I was playing a game the other night where literally we were all kind of looping through fate, and the only reason why I ended up winning with Hades is because I had 4 Titans. So literally, both the lightning bolts were gone, and even if they go the distance, they couldn't do anything. Or if they got a card that can trap one.
And then B tier, I've got 3 characters. At the bottom of B tier, I put Queen of Hearts. And so Queen of Hearts, she has a good setup. She can go pretty fast. I think sometimes she can run out of power. Early on, Alice, because you have
that's rough.
2 down the rabbit hole, and
Yeah.
also Alice itself or
There's
herself.
only one round down the rabbit hole.
Oh, okay. So you have basically 2 Alice in the deck, though, and being not able to move things is pretty cool when you like clump up their card guards or wickets in the same spot and not be able to have them in all the locations, or most importantly, probably not being able to move Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Oh yeah, you can get Queen of Hearts in a spot where she literally cannot win.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have too many
out,
too many
Alice
heroes,
is out.
too many heroes, and then all that's left in the deck is Mumraths, and then you just keep moving the cards.
I never
I
thought of
think that you
Ugh.
can get crippled, but it takes a lot to get you crippled.
Yeah. Ugh.
And then I have Maleficent in the middle
Okay.
of B for the reasons that we went over earlier. Is that the King Richard is evil and he makes you lose the game pretty much. And then you can like put a sword on him. There's 2 swords, right?
Yeah, there's 2 swords. At least 2.
I mean, I might move Maleficent. I think right now where she is, Maleficent is like this most in the middle of everybody I have, along with who's above her. But I think she's pretty good. But most of these characters have really good decks. It's just how strong or how weak, or how strong or how not as strong their fate decks are, pretty much, and how much they affect their game plan.
I think there's a consistency factor when when you're drawn for your main villain deck. I mean, sure, the fate stuff does come into play, but knowing who's probably in your upper entourage, I would say these characters that you're about to talk about are pretty consistent with their decks. Or
Yeah.
at least with what they're like. Obviously, they don't have like 6 copies of a really good card, but I mean, they have their card effects, and when you need them, it's pretty consistent when you need them, and you don't really have bad draws. I think it's something else too.
For bias purposes, I want to put her in A, but for logic purposes, I put Yzma in B. Yzma's probably one of my most favorite characters to play because of my attachments to Emperor's New Groove. But she can have like a 1-turn go get 'em scenario where you have Crunk Dagger at Kuzco's spot, and then you just play after them and at once. It's something that can happen, but she has a lot of nice tools. I think she doesn't suffer too horribly from having a lot of spaces covered up.
I think she's
I
like
like
one
the
of the most
fact-
random I would say, which is what makes her kind of inconsistent, is because like having all those.
there's also there's
Yeah.
also you just have can I check, is the first deck I check going to have Cusco in it? And that can just speed you up a lot. And depending on how good your poker face is and knowledge of what's in your decks and not being able to remember what's there, you can throw people off. Like, let's say your first deck you check with Eavesdrop has Cusco in it, and then you start checking your other decks to try and throw people off, make them think you haven't found them yet. It can create like a manipulation scenario. So up from Yzma is the bottom of my A tier, and I have Ratigan. Once you become the rat, you basically win in the next couple turns because having Felicia and then the power that is Uniform and Ruffians basically helps you not lose.
I don't think
You
that's
can
really that
get-
hard, honestly. I think that the thing people have to do with Ratigan is learn how to lock their opponent. It's what I have termed this the rat lock, where you get him to a point where you have your board state set up that, all right, if they want to use Basil to take out the Mouse Queen, they're going to put themselves in a situation that next turn Basil's dead. Even if you have
if Mouse Queen is not in play and you have Robot Queen at the palace and you have Trap at the palace and you activate Trap, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then above Ratigan, I have Captain Hook. I used to think Captain Hook was garbage, and then I actually played with him,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, oh, this character isn't.
No, he's not
bad.
garbage at all.
He can have 2 move a hero spaces that he can bounce between if you get device, and that lets you just yank Peter Pan over to the ship really quickly. I think Captain Hook is a lot better than I used to think he is, but I think he's like a super solid and like yeah, middle of A tier. I think that's like a perfect placement for him to be. And then okay, so that's my A tier, and then S tier I have 2 characters under my second S tier is Facilier, because he can win during his turn. He has all that super powerful stuff. Evil Queen, because I thought that was the general consensus for a long time.
It's pretty consensus.
Yeah, no.
I
She's pretty good.
really like her. I mean, I don't have like personal attachment. I never like cared too much for the Snow White movie at all, but like looking through her cards and like her conditions and like her whole personality is something that grew on me, and now she's like, now that I've learned how to correctly play her, she can go pretty cool.
S tier, Evil Queen. She's busted.
Let's go. Queen.
Moving on. A tier, extremely good. Dr. Facilier. He can win so fast, and he has so many ways to make it happen. Prince John, if you're not fading. Maleficent, I know she's easy to counter with the Fate deck, but she's just as easy to just curse, win.
Yeah, that's my
I've
thought-
seen
that's
it
my thought,
happen,
too.
especially back when it was just the base game. Maleficent was so
Are you
powerful.
putting Maleficent A or B?
Oh, A.
Okay.
She was like really on the line between A and B, but yeah, definitely A. B tier in the middle, I've got Queen of Hearts. Very solid pick. Doesn't care about the Fate deck too much because you can just shrink somebody out of the way and get the actions you want. Not to mention taking a shot is really easy once you're set up. Hades in B tier. That's the first controversial one.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's a couple interactions that I've come across very recently that make me realize that Zeus is not a threat if you know what you're doing.
Yes, he is. Why?
Um,
Okay, tell me why Zeus isn't a threat. Enlighten me.
I don't want to throw away my secret strategy.
Yeah, we'll say that for the breakdown. We'll say that for the breakdown.
Well,
Yeah,
because like all he
definitely
does
keep
is
that for
trap
break.
them, and he only traps them once. So once they're all in there and trapped, you just do a planet's
Yeah,
align and
Zeus
hey,
can
they're all
be
there.
completely
Sure.
nullified.
Yes.
Radigan in B next. I think he's good. I don't think he's that.
Yeah.
I see that.
He just, all of his cards try to lean towards one of his win conditions or the other, and even if you try to set up for the eventual defeating Basil as how you want to win,
I think you have a lot of. I think your deck is mostly geared towards getting Robot Queen to.
stuff, and she's too
But
dedicated to
I
playing.
think I don't think your deck needs to focus on killing Basil because of how easy it is once the Robot Queen's gone. The only card you need to defeat Basil is Felicia, and then you
Or
have stuff.
Uniform and a Ruffian.
Right? Yeah, you have stuff from your Evil Queen goal or full to move. Uniform can be used to get rid of Mouse Queen, and you can just use those tools from your other objectives game plan in order to get rid of Basil too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, Captain Hook at the bottom of B tier.
Okay.
And I struggled to put him that high. I really don't.
Really?
I really don't like characters that are required to find very specific cards.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Captain Hook is one of those, and why everyone thinks he's so strong, because once he gets the map, he's almost like unlosable.
Yeah.
But it's the getting there, and there's just, I don't think his deck gets him there fast enough. Out of all the games I've seen of a Captain Hook playing, I may have seen him win one. So I
seen
want
Hook
to
win
agree
one.
with you guys, but the not great C tier, Yzma. She has those 3-turn wins that I have so wonderfully been a part of.
One of.
But
I
at the
was
same
included.
time, Yzma can have these interesting spots where you're just like trapped with those 2 kids just coming back with Beware the Groove forever. Like, she can hurt so bad. And
Playing
the fact that
against
everything
playing against Yzma is probably my favorite thing to do in this
yeah,
whole
playing
game.
against her is fun, but playing as is just not a good time.
Yeah, especially when you get the
Scar?
Joker shuffled.
Actually, not second to last. Exclusively because of how much Joker's played Scar against me.
Yeah, I've learned a
that's
lot of
what
tricks
you're
with Scar. So
There are things that can be done, but I
Well
don't
done,
think
Mike.
Scar's.
yes,
Are
thank
your
you.
are your tricks removing Hakuna Matata from the deck at the start of the game?
I won't go too
Well,
much
that's
into
the main
detail.
issue. Is
Yeah.
if you're fading Scar quickly enough, all of his heroes and prophecies are going to pile up on the board, and then your fate deck is nothing but Matata.
Okay,
You
wait.
will-
Prophecy says with no other items attached, right?
Yeah, but there's enough. It does, but there's enough heroes, and he can't kill the heroes fast enough
Yeah.
for those prophecies not to pile up.
Right.
Between those and the stick, you can get down to just Hakuna Matatas in the deck. And
I've
then
had that's happened to
win.
me so many
Okay.
times. Yeah.
Here's the thing though. So prophecy says with no other items attached, but Rafiki's stick does not.
No, because if you play
So you
stick
can play
before
prophecy-
prophecy,
Slap a
it's,
stick on
it's
the
horrible.
prophecy. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you can play prophecy
bad.
first, and then you can slap stick under prophecy, and
yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, for me, the
between
weakness of
that-
Scar is not there's not the Hakuna Matatas. It's the fact that Mufasa can be at the bottom of the Fate deck. That to me is
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Just
But
play all of your
once you get down to all Hakuna Matatas, like I get played Scar and got Succession pile up to 20. Had it been a 2-player game, I would have won, almost guaranteed, if it weren't for Jafar. But
Yeah.
I'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah.
Speaking
Speaking
of
Next
which, next to last, very bottom of D tier, Jafar. Again, I hate characters who have to find specific cards.
Yeah.
And Jafar's main issue is that you have to find them in the right order.
Right.
A turn
Yeah.
1 magic lamp does nothing for you. It's literally worthless. You have to get the Scarab Pendant first, and when it's something like that, I don't care how many scryings you try to play. You're not going to recover from a turn 1 magic lamp.
Okay, what if
you have 3 cards to start in your hand is not going to happen.
what if the magic lamp was a tile and it started in the Cave of Wonders?
I'd be okay with that. That would be better.
Wrong
And then
Here.
as soon as you
Then
as
there's
soon as you
garbage.
unlocked it,
See, but
as
that's
soon
why
as you unlocked
Gazim
it, it
is in
played
the
Genie.
deck. So
Yeah,
you can
Gazim
discard the
goes back
magic
and
lamp
grabs
and then
the
you
lamp
play Gazim.
again, but you might want to use Gazim to get the snake staff, so you hit.
Right.
You might want to use Gazim to get the pendant itself,
Yeah,
because I like to mind game my opponent
got it.
and discard valuable cards just to fish him out later.
I wanna
Part of
watch Aladdin again.
my issue with Ursula, which, by the way, no surprise, very far D tier. I wanted to call it Z, if I could get away with it.
Yeah, it's
is
like-
Ursula.
U tier.
I have done extensive research into Ursula at this point, as much as possible to find some conceivable way to make her.
I
and
like
you
that.
can.
I liked that 3-player game that we played where me and Jonesy were just playing a regular 2-player game, except we were just getting faded more
it's
often.
just Ursula. Yeah.
It was horrible.
But yeah, Ursula is everything wrong with the game.
Yeah.
Looking for specific cards. Granted, it's not Jafar. You don't have to get the Crown of the Trident in any particular order, even though you kind of want to.
It's that as
like
soon
I
as you
said,
play one of those cards, it gets taken away from you.
There's 4 specific cards you want. You want Crown, Trident, Ursula's Lair Contract, and preferably Whirlpool. Poor Unfortunate Souls works, but preferably Whirlpool. The issue is Ursula has the same pilot problem that Scar does, in that once all the heroes are on the board and they get the items, you're left with return to forms.
Yeah, you just get
Ariel
locked.
cannot die.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing.
You
the
will
next
lose.
time, Ditto, you and I play TS, I will play Ursula. You can play whoever you want. You can play the Evil Queen, and I will play Ursula, and I will win.
You
I want to
will,
watch
because
that
it's
match.
the best.
I want to see it.
But I have given everything to Ursula, and I have won once with Ursula, just out of luck.
Was the
Her
other person
best
trying?
strategy
Oh, okay.
is, well, probably. I don't know. Were you?
I mean, like, I won with Ursula the other day when Ditto was playing Queen of Hearts, but the problem was is that it just takes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her biggest strategy is fading every turn to.
Yeah, it's
and
like the
in
Scar
cases
thing.
like with the Evil Queen or Facilier in a way where their fate decks don't hurt them too badly.
Okay, here's the
most
thing
of the
though.
time. That doesn't matter.
Can Ursula still do her fate every turn onslaught strategy if there are 2 heroes at the palace at the start of the turn? Because you can't move both of them away to fate.
You can with Poor
right.
Unfortunate Souls.
Yeah.
No, because you have to play a card.
Yeah, there's no play. That is the only location in the game without a
That's
play
true.
card action.
So yeah, if there are 2 heroes on the palace, then you can move one of them, but the only other thing you could do would be gain 2 power.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, I guess that's kind of a target goal if you can ever put yourself in that situation, is get Ursula to have 2 heroes at the palace.
Yeah, I've done as much analysis as I can fit with the rest of the cast, and she's just not.
And her only activate is at the lair.
Yeah, and the thing is,
you're gonna
she's
have
got
the lair
cards to
for most of the
activate,
game.
but the only card you really
Also,
want
you
to
got cards
activate
out.
is the Crown for draw power.
What does
And
the crown do when you activate it?
it lets you, I believe,
Look at 2 fate
like
cards
giving
and
them
you
a
can
scare.
discard them.
top of your fate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you look
either
at the top 2
both
cards of your
discard.
fate, they can either discard or move them back.
Yeah.
Which is
okay.
great until there's nothing but return to forms and you can't help yourself anyway.
Yeah. Or you block the activate and then it's completely pointless because.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to know if you're going to get Ariel, because then you're safe to just play your items.
Yeah.
True.
But either way, Ursula, bad.
Yeah. All right.
Very bad.
Well, that was very
I got a
extensive. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. I think we'll save for doing the ultimate tier list for another time because that went on a lot longer than I was expecting. But I think
Really.
overall, I think you all have convinced me of things that on my tier list that are probably wrong.
Yeah, mine too.
I definitely need to actually rethink this. I do want to see this Ursula Evil Queen match though. I don't want to play it. I just want to witness
It's
it.
not going to be a match.
No.
I will offer.
Yeah. But thank you all for giving your opinions. I hope all of you who are listening are not right now thinking of your tier list. Let us know in the comments or
really.
send me something on Twitter
I
or
want to
talk
see
about
some more
Discord.
of these tier makers.
Yeah.
Click the link in the description, guys.
Yeah, we'll do it. But we're gonna go ahead and end the show. Thanks everyone for hanging out
So
and
what are we
talking
doing
with
next
us.
week?
Oh, what are we doing next week? I believe we're probably winging it by ear. I think the next topic I want to do is talk about a digital version of this game and what we would actually want. But we'll see. Who the heck knows? All of a sudden, they're like, hey, guess what? There's a big box expansion. We got to go talk about that. Or other things that I might talk about at a later date. We'll get there, though. So until then, I'll see you folks on the next show.